everybody, and welcome back. I'm Flowery Kai, and today we are going to be reading Chapter 3 of It's a Long Way Home, Theseus by Raindrops in Autumn. Go check them out in the description and give them some kudos. Chapter 3. Regret. Summary. Tommy deals with his new surroundings. Wilbur rethinks his life choices. No trigger warnings. Tommy couldn't help but keep a close eye on both Schlatt and Wilbur. They both seemed better than when they died, but he still didn't know if either of them could be trusted. He desperately wanted to trust Wilbur. He wanted nothing more than for Wilbur to be the person he was before all the shit that had happened with the election in Pogtopia, the version of them that had his head on his shoulders. "Tommy, I'm going to ask you something, and I want you to be honest with me," Wilbur said. "Can you do that?" "Sure," Tommy agreed. Wilbur leaned forward in his chair, putting his elbows on his knees. "What was the last thing you felt before you died?" Tommy snorted derisively. "Pain." "No shit," Schlatt muttered. "Not physically," Wilbur said patiently. "Emotionally." Tommy crossed his arms. "Why do you want to know?" "You've got a ghost wandering around here somewhere," Wilbur explained. "I want to know what to expect when we find it." "A ghost?" Tommy asked. "Like Ghostbur?" "Yeah, like Ghostbur," Wilbur sighed. "Tommy, your ghost will only be able to remember things associated with what you felt when you died. If you were feeling something like rage, he might be a little hard to deal with, so wait." Tommy cut him off, realization settling into his bones with a chill. Ghosts only remember memories with the same emotion as when they died? Wilbur nodded hesitantly. "Then Ghostbur only remembers happy things because... Wilbur pursed his lips. "Happiness isn't quite the word for it. It was more of a melancholic happiness. I was glad to die, honestly. But I had regrets. A lot of regrets, actually. A lot of dreams I knew I never fulfill. I wasn't quite ready to leave the world behind, but I couldn't stay." Tommy's jaw clenched so hard his ears started ringing. "The world?" he whispered, his voice threatening to break as he forced the words out of his mouth. "You blew Lemamberg to shit, and you decided that you were going to miss the world?" He was on his feet now, tears in his eyes. "What about me, Will? What about Phil? And Fundy? Did you not think about us?" Wilbur went pale. "I didn't mean..." "You didn't mean what?" Tommy exclaimed. "We cared about you, Will. We all did. For months now, I've been wondering if you missed me like I missed you. Well, I guess you fucking didn't." Schlatt leaned backward into his chair like he hoped it would swallow him, but his eyes were glued to the pair like they were a train wreck he couldn't look away from. "Tommy..." "No," he snapped, pointing a finger at Schlatt. "Don't think I forgive you just because you died for your sins or some shit. You're the same fucking twat you were when you were alive." "Tommy, calm down," Wilbur pleaded. "I did miss you. I do care about you. Then how could you leave me?" Hot tears poured down Tommy's face despite his efforts to hold them back. His chest heaved up and down, but he wasn't sure he was even breathing now that he was dead. He bit his bottom lip to keep it from trembling. "How could you leave me, Will?" Wilbur was completely dumbfounded, his jaw slack and eyes wide. He blinked a few times before he spoke again, like he had to recalibrate after the outburst that had been directed at him. "Please," Tommy thought. Please have a decent excuse." "I thought you'd be better off without me," Wilbur finally said. Tommy ran both hands through his hair, barely fending off a scream of pure frustration. That didn't cut it. Not even close. "That wasn't your decision to make." Tommy turned on his heel and left the overhang. "I need a minute." He could hear Wilbur stand up behind him, but the footsteps didn't follow him any further. Tommy didn't intend to go far, just over the nearest hill where he didn't have to look at Wilbur or Schlatt or the stupid excuse for a shelter they called home. Once he cleared the hill, he looked up at the too short white sky above him and let himself scream. Wilbur went to follow Tommy the moment he turned around, but Schlatt stood and blocked him, placing a hand against his chest. "Let him go," he said softly. He'll sort himself out. Get out of my way, Wilbur snapped. He asked to be alone. Since when do you know what's good for him? Schlatt raised an eyebrow. Since when do you? Don't pull that shit with me, Wilbur warned. I protected Tommy. You blew his home to smithereens, then got your dad to run a sword through you while he watched, if I recall correctly, Schlatt said dryly. I might have backstabbed him and banished him and overall made his life a living hell, but at least I can own up to the fact that what I did was fucked up. Wilbur jabbed a finger at Schlatt's chest. I care about Tommy more than you'll ever know. I've never hurt him. You're not the one who decides that. At first, Wilbur couldn't stand the audacity Schlatt had to say that to his face, and then a long, echoing, frustrated scream, Tommy's scream, rang through the air. Wilbur's blood ran cold. Tommy was screaming because of him, because of what he'd done. Tommy had been the only one there for him in that cursed ravine as he spiraled. His only memories from Pogtopia that weren't filled with spite and anger were the ones with Tommy in them, and through all of it, Tommy had never given up on him. He should have, looking back on it. Wilbur could say that with certainty. But he hadn't. Tommy had always been there for him, and Wilbur had repaid him by blowing up his life and then disappearing from it entirely. And for what? To escape the consequences of his actions? Was he really that much of a coward? He really did care about Tommy, so why had he left him? Wilbur sank to his knees. Tommy's not going to forgive me anytime soon, if at all, Schlatt said, patting Wilbur awkwardly on the shoulder. And he shouldn't. But you, lover boy, you've still got a shot to make things right. He glanced out at the hill Tommy had climbed over. He'll come back soon. I'll skedaddle when he does. Give you two some time to talk. Schlatt sat down in his chair with a tired sigh. Wilbur bunched his knees up to his chest and stared at the distant white hill, waiting for Tommy to return.